Servus Männer, it's Red Pill Germany again. About 2 weeks ago, the Austrian people elected their national parliament. This election in Austria is going down in history as the first time that the Austrian Freedom Party became the strongest party in the Austrian parliament. And not only that, they did so on a platform with a leading candidate, Mr. Kickl, who is openly advocating for re-migration. So it is important to bear in mind that they won, and they won not with a lukewarm kind of centrist agenda. No, they really said we do not disavow anybody and we need re-migration. So I talked about Austria and the political landscape there more in recent years. There have been a lot of interesting things going on. Austria is a very, very relevant country for the whole development of Europe politically, especially when it comes to matters like mass migration and identity. So in today's presentation, I want to show you the results of the Austrian elections and then go a little more into the details, some meta-analysis, before giving you the historical context of what happened before in Austria and why this is so significant. But before that, I want to thank my supporters and subscribers once more. Like, share and subscribe, and if you want to, support me on Patreon or Subscribestar. Alright, so in Austria you have basically a CDU or a Tory party, Republican Party kind of thing. They are called the ÖVP, the Austrian People's Party. They are pretty much Angela Merkel's CDU equivalent, just in Austria. Then you have a social democratic, little bit socialist party, SPÖ. And you have the Freedom Party, which used to be a liberal party and in opposition to the AfD. They are around for a very long time, since the 50s already, I think. But now they are the hard right, anti-EU, anti-globalist Austrian party. Then you have the Green Party, speaks for itself. NEOS is some kind of liberal party, maybe like the FDP in Germany. And then a Communist Party, BIR, funny name, it's like a reform project, and so on. But they didn't make it into parliament. So you see here in parliament, you have the Freedom Party, you have the Kickl Center Party, you have the Socialist Party, the Green Party, and this liberal thingy. Gains and losses are easily explained. The Green Party lost massively, and so did the Center Kickl Party. The Social Democrats stayed almost the same, and the big winner is the Austrian Freedom Party, almost 30%, clearly ahead of the Austrian People's Party, even though they were rising in the polls just until election day, but it wasn't enough. In terms of coalitions, we have the situation just like in Germany, and I said in my last video, Austria might as well be a central German federal state. You have all these loser parties, and they all say that they will never go into a coalition with the Freedom Party or under the Freedom Party. The Freedom Party is the strongest party in parliament, so that means in any coalition they would have the chancellor position. Kickl would be chancellor. By the way, he said that he is the Volkskanzler, or he wants to be the Volkskanzler. So in my opinion, Kickl is already the Chancellor of Austria, the Chancellor of Hearts maybe, or something like that, the Chancellor of Austrian people's hearts. But yeah, he really wants to be the Volkskanzler, and that is a good term, I think, because just like the AfD in Germany, the Freedom Party in Austria is the only party that really wants to help and to protect the Austrian people, the Austrian Volk. And that is why he is the only person who can be the Volkskanzler. All the other guys are against the Austrian people. They want Austrians to be replaced and, in many cases murdered. So they cannot be Volkskanzler to begin with. Now, when you look at some polls or some surveys, you see, for example, that people who are university educated, they tend not to vote for the Freedom Party so much, and people who work and who do more manual labor and actual work, they are much more likely to vote for them. And then you also see that age-wise, the people who are at the height of their career, 35 to 59, they vote very strongly for the Freedom Party. And it is once again the older people, just like in Germany, that vote for these traditional centrist parties like the Labour and Tory, Democrat, Republican, these Social Democrat and People's Party kind of centrists, right? And what I find very significant, very interesting, and maybe even unique about this Austrian election is that if you look at the two bars on the left, men and women, you see that it's almost the same when it comes to the Freedom Party. And this is very unique. Normally, these right-wing parties are much more popular among men, and women tend to vote socialist much more. Maybe in Austria, the situation has become so bad with all the murders and all the crime that even women now are starting to leave the woke, centrist, globalist mafia cartel. So you see the typical thing that the leftist centrists, or the centrists on the left, I should say, or whatever you want to call it, they are a little more popular with the women, and the People's Party, so the right of center centrists, right, they are a little more popular with the men. But when it comes to the Freedom Party, 29, 28, it's almost the same. And that is some kind of turning point, even maybe, when women now finally start to vote as much for a right-wing party, for a patriotic party, as do men. Yeah, so like I said, nobody wants to join a coalition with the Freedom Party, so that would mean we would get some kind of loser coalition. All these loser parties can band together. I mean, the People's Party and the Social Democrats, they could form a government with a very, very thin majority, 92. This is just as much as you need. And if just one person is sick or cannot make it when there is a vote in parliament, then the coalition is already in danger. So that would be very, very dangerous, actually. So you would have to take a third party into the coalition just to make sure that they can win votes in parliament. And that means either you take this liberal globalist party, NEOS, or you take the communistic Green Party. Three-party coalitions, I think I don't have to explain that to you. That is very tedious, and pretty much like in Germany, these loser coalitions, a lot of struggle, a lot of disagreements, and the popularity of all these parties will go down when they enter such a coalition, because every compromise will be a foul one, and they will have to spend so much money so that all these three parties get their little pet projects through, that the people will become very angry. The taxes will have to go up, the foreigners stay, they get more money, the borders stay open, etc. It will be just like in Germany right now under this Ampel coalition. People will get angry, all these parties will suffer in popularity, they will go down. The Freedom Party will profit massively, and next time they will have 50%, maybe, I don't know. If you remember my videos from 5 years ago, you might remember that the president, so the head of state in Austria, is a Green Party guy, Mr. van der Bellen, and he already wanted to keep Mr. Kickl away back then in the Kahlenberg coalition under Mr. Kurz. He wanted to make sure that Kickl doesn't become Minister for the Interior, because Kickl already back then was someone who was a very based guy. He didn't disavow, he didn't distance himself from the youth of Austria that fights for their survival. He said, I will not disavow anybody unless they did something wrong, and they didn't do anything wrong, while there were some cucks in the party back then still, maybe some are still there, who want to distance themselves from this group and disavow that group. And Mr. Kickl just says, no, these young guys, these patriotic young people, they are fighting for their future with peaceful and intelligent and democratic means, and there is no reason to disavow them unless they commit some sort of crime, which they didn't. And that is why he was seen by Kurz and Van der Bellen unfit to be Minister of the Interior, because as you know, they control the police then, and they have some influence over the secret police and so on. And that needs to be, just like in Germany, that needs to be a globalist, of course, a enemy of the European people. So now Mr. Van der Bellen, as the president, he has to basically give someone the green light in order to start coalition talks. And normally, that is a no-brainer, normally he just would go to the party that has the most votes, that won the election in this example, or now it is the Freedom Party, of course, and he would say, hey, you won the elections, please go ahead and start negotiations with the other parties to form a coalition and a stable government. But now he just doesn't do that. He doesn't feel like that because he doesn't want to go to Mr. Kickl and tell him that he should form a government. Instead, he said, I will not do anything. The parties should start figuring out who will have a possible coalition with another party. So he basically says he doesn't want to do what is customary. Now, if I understand it properly, there is no law that says he has to do that, but this has been the custom so far. But I can still remember that in 1999, the socialists won the election, and even though the president probably said, hey, you form a government, it was other parties. It was a coalition of other parties who then went together and had a coalition without the socialists. So that it's not a law or anything, it's just customary. Anyway, speaking of old history here, the Freedom Party, as I said, existed for a long time, and they were thus far the strongest under Mr. Jörg Haider in the 90s and early 2000s still maybe, but then he mysteriously died in a car crash. And then it took some time until they could recover from this mysterious death of their leader. And then they became strong again under Mr. Strache, who was then, kicked out basically of the government by the Ibiza affair that I covered in some detail a while back. You can look at my old videos for that. I link them on YouTube at least. But now you see in 2024, it is even stronger. The result is even stronger than under Jörg Haider, and this is a historical moment. So I don't know what will happen next. Maybe the People's Party will kick out the Cucks or whatever and then go together in a Kahlenberg II coalition under Kickl, so he can finally officially become the Volkskanzler, but I doubt that. I think it will be one of these loser coalitions, the same way as we see it in East Germany, and let's just see how Austria will do under such a globalist New World Order coalition that wants to get rid of all European people. Let's see if such a coalition can even survive the next 4 years. Kickl will not go anywhere. He is a very based guy. He fights for Austrians together with the youth of Austria, by the way, and that will just make them so much stronger. So let me know what you think about that, or if you know of similar occurrences in your country. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. Servus, Kameraden.